tonight we remember Pope Francis, the 266th pontiff, from the Vatican all the way to our very own Caruso Catholic Center.
Harvard is fighting back against the Trump administration after recent funding cuts.
And Mayor Karen Bass has proposed a last resort budget, what this means for rebuilding after the fires and layoffs.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Dear brothers and sisters,
con profondo
with deep sorrow
dolore
I must announce the death
devo
of our Holy
annunciare
Father,
la
Francis.
morte.
Pope Francis died this morning of heart complications hours after appearing at the Vatican's Easter
Final
Sunday
message,
service.
the Holy Father called for an end to wars.
He was the 266th leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Hi, I'm Rose-Marquez.
And I'm Marina Knapik. He leaves behind a long legacy of rattling the Church's traditionally conservative views. Francis was elected Pope in 2013 and was the first Pope from South America. Before that, he was Archbishop of Buenos Aires, as Pope Francis became known for his liberal positions on same-sex marriage and focused on the experience of migrants. He was also the first Pope to give a speech to Congress and the first to meet with the head of the Russian Orthodox Church. However, he was criticized as responding slowly to the sexual abuse in the church. Mourners have filled Vatican City since word of the Pope's passing. Reporter Sophie Sullivan is there in Rome. She talked with residents and visitors about the Pope's legacy.
He was revered for his humility and his advocacy for those living in poverty. Pope Francis was the first Jesuit and the first from the Americas to be elected into the Church's papacy. He was famously more inclusive to same-sex couples, divorcees, and women in the Church compared to former popes, values that resonated with people across the world, despite their denomination. Today, they remember him and reflect on being in Rome and in the Vatican on the day of his death.
I think some of me thinks that he kind of held on to, being there on Easter and seeing the people that, he made a lifelong impact on. I mean, he was the trailblazer in the Catholic Church.
Sobre todo porque es argentino y en Latinoamérica se le quiere mucho.
He was Argentinian, and Latin America loved him very much. It was a little shocking, but it was also a bit exciting because it's such a historical event.
Estábamos hablando de que hay un poco de...
We were talking about how we're a bit afraid of what will happen now because he was such a progressive pope. For Italians, he is the one who brought the clergy close to the people. He was the Pope of the people. He was the one who recognized himself in everyone. He was the one who welcomed sick people, those who believed and those who did not believe in God.
It's quite emotional seeing people, paying their respects and stuff like that, because he's such an influential figure in some people's lives, especially in Rome as well.
In just a few days, a funeral service will be held here in the Vatican City remembering Pope Francis. Then shortly after that, a conclave where bishops from across the world will elect the next pope. For Annenberg Media, I'm Sophie Sullivan.
Catholics across Southern California are also mourning the death of Pope Francis. Reporter Leah Albert joins us with more.
Today, LA Archbishop Jose Gomez honored Pope Francis at the downtown LA Cathedral. I talked with people there who took time out of their day to remember the Pope and reflect on what he meant to them. More than 6,000 miles from the Vatican, Angelinos are mourning the legacy of Pope Francis.
It was such a blessing having Pope Francis as the shepherd of the Catholic Church, and he was a global figure, an inspiration for everybody.
As the first Pope from South America, the first Jesuit Pope, and a leader who brought social issues into the spotlight, his passing leaves a deep impact on the LA community. While many around the world are mourning the death of Pope Francis, people in the Los Angeles community are as well. I'm at Cathedral Lady of the Angels in Los Angeles, where I spoke to many who attended Mass today about how they feel.
He was just a little more relaxed about things, more for the people, more for the homeless, more for the down and out people. Seemed more down to earth than other popes, yeah.
I do think Pope Francis, he had a special love for the youth because he really believed and showed us that it is the youth that built the future.
Those at USC also see the late Pope as a beacon for young people.
I think for me, what I most admired about Pope Francis is how excited he got young people to come back to their faith.
I think Pope Francis was not afraid to speak from his heart and to speak to the issues of the day. And so I think he was very intentional about being rooted in prayer and then saying, all right, Lord, what do you want me to say today to the people, especially young people?
Pope Francis stood out amongst younger generations, framing climate change as a moral issue and approving blessings for same-sex marriages. Just yesterday, he met with Vice President J.D. Vance to discuss his open views on migration. Today, hundreds of Angelenos gathered to mourn his loss and pray for the conclave selecting the next pope. For Annenberg Media, this is Leah Albert.
And here at USC, students and alumni gathered today to honor the Holy Father. Catholics stopped by the Caruso Catholic Center today to mourn the death of Pope Francis. A holy hour was a time for students, religious or not, to meditate in honor of the Pope.
I'm Catholic, so I think we got a lot of good years out of him. We're sorry for his loss, any loss of his family, but I think we're kind of anxious for the future.
Kind of saw, they carted him out for Easter, so that was really nice to see. It got me talking about how I really appreciated having a more progressive pope.
As long as they have faith in God and they're following kind of the example that Jesus set for us, I think we'll be fine.
The papal conclave will likely begin next month. The College of Cardinals will take in oath of secrecy before voting for the next pope. The Vatican says selecting a new pope can take as long as needed.
Harvard University is now suing the Trump administration. The suit filed today is the latest escalation in the ongoing fight between the administration and the world's wealthiest university. According to the Wall Street Journal, the administration may cut an additional $1 billion from Harvard's medical research funding. That's in addition to the $2.2 billion freeze announced last week. The Trump administration has also threatened to strip Harvard's tax-exempt status and its ability to admit foreign students.
Because I think Harvard's a disgrace. I think what they did was a disgrace. They're obviously anti-Semitic. Tax-exempt status, it's a privilege. It's really a privilege. And it's been abused by a lot more than Harvard, too. By a lot more than Harvard. So we'll see how that all works out.
Harvard isn't alone. The White House has also paused some funding for Columbia, Princeton, Cornell, Northwestern, and Brown universities over alleged civil rights violations. Now, across the country, other schools are also pushing back against Trump, including the members of the Big Ten. It's called the Mutual Defense Compact, and here's how it works. Schools that join the pact will pool money to defend higher education against threats to academic freedom and research funding. There are 18 schools in the conference, but so far only 4 have joined. They include Michigan State, who joined earlier today, Rutgers, the University of Nebraska, and Indiana University. USC's Academic Senate is scheduled to vote May 7th on whether to join the pact. Ohio State University will vote later this week.
No matter what our city faces, LA never, ever gives up. LA always rises.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass gave a 2-hour State of the City address today. LA faces a nearly $1 billion budget shortfall. Bass proposed over 1,600 layoffs in what she called a decision of last resort. She said wildfire recovery efforts, homelessness, and crime all contributed to the budget deficit.
What I hope to see from the mayor is a real effort on improving internal systems. City worker layoffs are never a good thing. We've seen this before over the years.
A lot of change has just been making awareness for other departments. So disability isn't something that the Department on Disability does all the time. It's something that every department needs to be doing, right? This year we're still a standalone department, and we actually would like to keep it that way in the near future.
Labor leaders have denounced the proposed layoffs. The City Council has until June 1st to adopt or modify the mayor's budget. police are searching for a still mysterious chainsaw-wielding perpetrator. Suspected of cutting down dozens of trees, it happened early Saturday morning in downtown LA. You can see on screen the trees blocking roadways and sidewalks. That's just at one of several locations across the city. Angelenos posted the shocking footage of the destruction to social media. The Associate Director of Community Forestry for Tree People calls the act senseless.
This event really spotlights the vulnerability that our trees face. Trees aren't simply, again, cosmetic ornaments. They are critical infrastructure. The destruction of these vital assets is particularly heinous because they can't simply be replaced as easily as, let's say, a lamppost.
According to police, the suspect is described as wearing dark clothing and riding off on a bicycle. USC professor of urban planning says the city could be doing more to protect its trees.
But I think this is a lesson that we really can't just take it for granted that people are all going to respect our public investments. There is additional protection that we could be building in when we plant trees, and then in other landscapes in our parks and public spaces, we really need to provide some physical barriers so that people stay out of those planting areas.
Coming up, we'll check out what's hot in Hollywood.
USC's very own alum Ryan Coogler is getting overwhelmingly positive reviews for his new film.
And I think we've seen this trend before. What brought it back? Up next.
It was a hot week in Hollywood, and this week we're bringing the heat to the desk. This is Hollywood Heat.
That's right. In a groundbreaking move by the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, the Oscars will require voting members to actually watch all of the nominated films.
You're telling us they didn't have to until now?
No, they didn't until now. Voting members of the Academy, those who decide the winners of the Oscars, had only been encouraged to watch nominees. In order to vote in a given category, they will now be required to watch all nominated films. The Academy also put forth new rules on issues like AI, refugee filmmakers, and the new Best Casting category. Marina, what do you think about these new voting rules?
I'm all for it. I am all for an informed voter, and I think this evens the playing field for all of the nominees involved.
You know, I'm inclined to agree, but I feel like some voting members, maybe most voting members, go into an award season already having an idea of the films they want to vote for, the ones they think should win. I think it's probably the right move to make them watch all the films. It seems almost common sense, but is it actually going to change the way they vote, you think?
You know, it may not limit inherent biases. I think that's hard to monitor, but at the end of the day, if it evens the playing field for the voters and for all of the nominees, then I don't see why not.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you and the Academy are in agreement.
We've been gone a long time. We back now.
USC Film School alum Ryan Coogler released his new movie, Sinners, last week. The horror film stars Michael B. Jordan as twin brothers in 1930s Mississippi who are confronted by a supernatural evil. The film topped the box office this weekend, grossing over $63 million globally. Sinners has already been receiving critical acclaim, with a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. We talked to SCA students about the film.
It's definitely inspiring, especially because he's still working with a lot of students and peers he went to school with, so he's definitely created like a nice tight-knit community of USC alums.
He's been working with similar people from where he went to school, so I think I hope to kind of go down a similar path as him. He's very inspiring.
Coogler says he is leaving the door open for a possible Sinners sequel in the future.
USC brings back a popular trend from 2014, the Ice Bucket Challenge, but it's not the SC you may think it is. This time, the University of South Carolina is challenging others to drench themselves in ice-cold water to raise awareness for mental health.
At its core, what social media is really good at is amplifying and using its digital networks to connect people to people to people. Because it's being done for mental health, it is sort of an empowering thing for the students and young adults to be out there supporting one another. Whether I have a cold or I'm suffering from depression, there's no difference. It's an illness and we need to treat it exactly the same.
Across college campuses, 25% of students have been diagnosed with depression and 34.3% with anxiety. More than half of both groups say their mental health negatively affects their academic performance.
I fully support what it stands for, because it stands for mental health awareness. It's also I get that they're trying to raise awareness, but it's just a trend. It's they're not making that much of I don't know, I feel like the point is getting lost.
Honestly, it's surprising how widespread it is. I know a lot of people from all over the states that are doing it and are aware of it. I will say using trends like this is probably the best way. It's the best way to get it as widespread as possible.
So far, nearly $200,000 has been raised, and there is no sign the challenge is slowing down. Now, let's check in with Amy for the weather.
Yeah, so today we definitely see more students walking around the village, all over campus, and that's because there's no cloud in sight today, and it is a sunny day. So let's see how we're doing exactly temperature-wise. So we are at 67 degrees with a 56% humidity. It is full sunshine. Definitely a change from last week's gloom. So let's see how we are doing this week. We see a peak of 72 degrees on Tuesday with a low of 67 on Saturday. We have a relatively sunny week, except we have some cloudiness thrown in there from Wednesday through Friday. But this is definitely looking like a brighter week compared to last week's clouds. So that is all for weather today. And now let's see what Ben has for sports.
Well, a former starter for UCLA women's basketball is transferring to the Trojans. USC baseball smashes home runs and records. And the Clippers look to even up the series with the Nuggets at 1 apiece. Next on ATVN Sports.
USG election season has kicked off.
They have a huge game on Thursday, right?
Huge.
Prior to that, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
And a warning tonight about a massive storm heading our way.
We're live here at the Galen Center.
What would y'all do if you had $2.5 million?
Music, art, and women empowerment.
And she put her stamp on Big Ten history.
Those are men swimming like fish.
Thanks for watching.
Idelburg TV News. You never miss an episode.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Thanks for watching.
So, live from the Halo is USC Idelburg's take on NPR's Tiny Desk concerts. This is a platform for USC students and adjunct students just to perform and play their music for an audience.
Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Ben Cohen.
And I'm Riley Sager. Well, Ben, it's April, and you know what that means? Transfer portal season. Breaking news from across town, former UCLA women's basketball guard London Jones announced her commitment to USC this afternoon. Jones started for the Bruins her past 2 seasons. She averaged 8.5 points last season and led the team in three-pointers with 72. Jones will be joining a fresh Trojan squad for her last season of eligibility.
USC sports are getting into playoff season, so we're going to take you around the horn with some quick hits on how the Trojan spring teams are doing. Let's get started on the court at Galen.
For UCLA, Sean McQuiggan. 19 service errors, but he doesn't want to risk it. Blanchette, Tompkinson ends it. Trojans with the sweep. USC takes down their crosstown rival. 10-match losing streak over. First sweep over the rivals.
USC men's volleyball finally beat UCLA after 10 straight losses. The Trojans swept the Bruins on Saturday to end a 4-game losing streak on the season and to gain momentum ahead of the MPSF tournament this weekend. On the golf course, Catherine Park keeps dominating. The junior tied for 5th place individually at the Big Ten Tournament Championship. It was her 8th top 10 finish of the season, which is the joint second most in program history. USC finished 9th of 18 overall. Over to the Diamond, USC baseball just keeps winning series. The Trojans won the final 2 games of their weekend series against Gonzaga to take a 6th straight series this season. The last time that happened, 2015. And that's all for college sports today, but you know LA's pro teams are still around this time of year.
The Los Angeles Clippers will tip off against the Denver Nuggets in Game 2 of their first-round series in just about an hour. The Clippers led for almost all of Game 1 on Saturday, but Russell Westbrook's go-ahead 3 was matched by a Harden floater to force overtime. Then Christian Brown hit a clutch 3 on Nikola Jokic's 12th assist of the night. Harden brought the Clippers within range, but a late steal by Westbrook sealed it for Denver. Tonight, LA will need to cut down on turnovers. On Saturday, the Clippers had 20 turnovers to the Nuggets' 11. Kawhi Leonard accounted for 7 of them. They'll also need more than 13 points from their depth. Westbrook eclipsed that total alone for Denver on Saturday. Ben, that said, do you think the Clippers have what it takes to finish out the series?
I know they do, and it's for the reasons you just said. It's all turnovers. You know when the last time Kawhi Leonard had 7 turnovers in one game? 2020. The last time the Clippers had 20 turnovers in a game was in January. The last time they did it in the playoffs was also in 2020. This is not a team that commits these errors, and this is not a team that only has 13 bench points. As long as you can outscore Russell Westbrook literally alone by himself on the Nuggets bench, the Clippers are going to win the series in 5, maybe 6 games.
5 or 6? Okay, well, we'll see about that. As for the Nuggets, you're still just 2 years out from the championship in 2013. They want to win. You have Westbrook, 17 seasons in the league. He wants that title. He wants that ring. So I think the Nuggets are going to do it. They have the best player in the world in Jokic, so we'll have to see a tip-off what happens.
That they do, but on the ice, the LA Kings are close to puck drop in Game 1 of their quest for their 3rd Stanley Cup. LA hasn't won a playoff series since 2014, when it won it all. In the way, the Edmonton Oilers, again. The Kings and Oilers face each other in the first round of the playoffs for the 4th straight season. Edmonton has bounced LA from the dance 3 years running, so what's the difference this time? The Kings are the higher seed. That's thanks to goaltender Darcy Kemper, who is top 3 in the league in both goals against average and save percentage. Only the Winnipeg Jets have conceded fewer goals than the Kings this season as well. The Kings will hope defense wins championships for them, but the home ice advantage should help them too. For ATVN Sports, I'm Ben Cohen.
And I'm Riley Sager. Nolan Ezzet is outside Crypto.com Arena with more on the atmosphere ahead of the puck drop.
I'm outside Crypto.com Arena where we're going to be hitting the road with some fans. Up next on ATVN.
rolling with Nolan, Ezzet, who's at Crypto.com Marina for tonight's game. What's it looking like out there, Nolan?
Yeah, thanks, Marina. That's right. I'm here outside Crypto.com Arena, and this is a storied rivalry. Ever since the 80s, these teams have found themselves matching up. This time around, though, it's been heating up. This is the 4th time in 4 years that these two teams have found themselves facing off against each other in the first round of the NHL playoffs. And you can see these fans muscling and bustling them all their way through to Tom's Watch Bar as well as to Crypto.com Arena. Puck drops at 7 p.m., not too far away. The difference this time, Game 1 is at Crypto.com Arena. Each of the last 3 years, Edmonton had that advantage. Let's go take a look at that home ice advantage. Let's see what fans are looking forward to ahead of this game. We've got some fans here at that Tom's Watch Bar that I just mentioned. Hi guys, how are you guys doing? This time around, the Kings have home ice advantage during Game 1, and then it'll continue throughout the series. What do you guys think that could do this time around? Because the Kings haven't found themselves on top of the Oilers recently.
Puts them in a better position they've been in for the last 3 years, and gives us hope. And we're gonna get out of the first round for a while, which would be very nice to see.
We're crossing our fingers. We got at least a better chance being the home ice. So we're hoping. We've not done well the last 3 years, but it's our turn.
What's going to be the key difference maker? Other than that huge home ice advantage, what else do the Kings need to do differently this time around to find themselves with victory?
Win the first game. Today's a big game for us. We get off to a good start, get that first one under our belt, we'll be on our way.
Goaltending. Got to have goaltending, which we haven't had the last couple of years, and this will be a good goaltending. And Kempe in that first line to score goals. Kopitar will play up to their potential, and we'll do that third line, second line, fourth line. They're all playing well. We need to keep that up.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your game. That's it for me at Crypto.com Arena. Puck drops at 7 p.m., just over a half hour from now if you want to catch it. That's it for me at Crypto.com Arena. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Marina Knapik.
And I'm Rose-Marquez. For more coverage, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time. Good night.